It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe in. This is something that's going to affect every one of you, no matter where you come from. In fact, it's affecting you right now, very badly. And it's important you listen to my grammar very carefully. People select the wrong grammar, and a lot of people is over-exaggerating the truth. We're in the biggest communication breakdown in global history on many different levels. On many different levels. Right now, we're going through the biggest stress and fear pandemic and paranoia pandemic ever seen in human history. And it's important you all understand that the EMP pulse, spreading like a virus around the planet, has dropped between 38 and 98% nutrition value in fauna worldwide, affecting animals going around circles over the earth, birds falling out the sky. A lot of them drop dead, many get their bearings back like they have vertigo. So they go into a spiral and some get their bearing back. We've seen this with a lot of wildlife, where animals drop, some drop dead, some get their bearing back. In Australia, 550,000 cattle died like this, and 80,000 horses. That was the first time they did a big research on what happened with these animals in Australia. And what the results were was phenomenal. They were losing their magnetic pulses, their magnetic fields. We see this in ovine syndromes worldwide escalating with peer reports from nearly every single hospital in the world. People losing their magnetic fields, their magnetic pulse. We see mental disorders and defects going through the roof with blood clots, myocarditis, cancer, and defective genes. These are all stress-related diseases. Every single thing we die from prematurely and every single thing we suffer from comes down to the Vrel voltage reliability in our DNA. DNA is declared the book of life for that reason. We need to look at something completely differently that 99.9% of people is not looking at. They live in denial in a massive global delusional state and can't deal with the truth, can't handle the truth, and cannot face the truth. They are declared a species in denial in 2003 because most people live in denial about DNA. And that's because they're trapped inside their mind in mentality, in a personality, and they're losing their sixth sense. The sixth sense, we're going into a sixth mass extinction strip from the sixth sense for the sixth time for a reason. Because we lost our sixth sense, but that's our life support system. Literally. Without your sixth sense, you cannot live. So people who are losing their sixth sense is going into massive extinction. And it's a known fact. It was reported in 99 and the world went into denial about it and just went trapped into screens 8 hours a day, which is the five senses. Everybody's living in mentality and a personality and lost all their genetic process with your genetic memory. Their 24th chromosomes in dormancy. You can see it in cellular study research. That gives you all the supernatural power or superhuman abilities. They say you can't survive on it, but that's not true. 1.3% of the population has 24 chromosomes activated, and their aura goes clockwise in their body cells. And some of them have zero mental disorders and defects, and every other human being on earth at 98.7% has 600 to 6,000 defective genes in every species. Westerners children today, 77% born with chronic diseases. Autism went from 1 out of every 10,000 to 1 out of every 31. This is accelerating 7 times faster worldwide. And these disorders, cancer's going in turbocharge rate worldwide. Everyone's blaming the vaccinations, but there's a lot more to this. We knew this in 99. It became a global concern then that we were going in a sixth mass extinction stripped from the sixth sense. And our sixth senses is what's been stripped from us, which is known in the biblical stuff as spirituality. You know, mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. These are our natural motor skills embedded in our own DNA that we come into this world with. A child can mastermind a computer game between 3 and 7 and respond 7 times faster than any adult with the highest IQ people in the world. We've proven to you that children are perfect with a perfect aura from 0 to 7 normally. And their biology in their DNA, in their aura, in their body cells is clockwise with a genetic repair kit, and they release 130 nucleosome molecules with genetic repair kit and 2 molecules of mentality. They use their gut feeling survival mode, the very self-preservation of a life. The shiver in the spine known as jagged plate on the Bible is a Neuralink, the tree of life inside your body cells. And the sacred secretion from your third eye goes into serotonin with the right pH level and balances and creates all the molecules to hold all things together in lanomen. And lanomen is a cross inside your DNA that holds all proteins together. And when it's not activated, your body cells don't work together. They go in corruption, coercion, and collusion during the daytime and can only repair 3.5 hours at night. We now think mentally and psychologically in our mind 95 to 99% of the time, and we only use our sixth sense 1 to 5%. That was declared in 1999. We knew the sixth mass extinction of the sixth sense was going to accelerate. It was only a matter of time. The top biologist in the whole world that wrote the book Freedom, the Cure that humanity is going to save humanity, is hailed by 16,000 top scholars in the world, the Holy Grail of life, that will save humanity with the sixth sense, with their biofields. You have 32 senses, but only 5 senses are working. Your sixth sense only works 1 to 5%. You have 27 senses. You have remote viewing, deja vu to predict the future with dimensional thinking, and it's not working. It's called the universal language that we were all brought in this world with. A child's perfect from 0 to 7. Then he goes to school to be mentally institutionalized with voices in his mind that's been declared ultimately designed from extinction. So he gets mentally institutionalized with voices in his mind and believes in his own truth and comes to his own conclusion with reason, which is the age and nefarious, because it's 5 senses. It's only consciousness, which is only a mental bent, a mental process, an illusion, imagination, set up by the Rockefellers into a conscious singularity by WF. And most people live in consciousness, raised in the consciousness, and believe in Christ's consciousness, but it's only a personality. They can't think outside the mind like a child can. A child is a genius in a computer game. He can respond 7 times faster than an adult with the highest IQ people in the world that has voices in their mind. A child's not programmed, he's innocent. And you can see on YouTube, third-eye children, superhuman. At 8 years old, they can read, draw, and write blindfold and use the sixth sense with their third eye and the picture that tells them 1,000 words of dimensional thinking. So therefore, they can read, draw, and write blindfolded. Like Bruce Lee, who can master his mind by 24 and fight 12 back karate, blindfolded and block every punch, certain time doesn't think. Because he uses deja vu and can predict the future and prevent. So therefore, he can respond 7 times faster than anyone can think critically in their conscious mind with an IQ. Because they only use body and face expression. And they believe their 2 eyes is their windows to their soul, which is only 5 senses. That distracts them so much. The sixth sense is the third eye, where you can see the picture that tells you 1,000 words blindfolded, with deja vu. And that's why Bruce Lee can respond 7 times faster than any person could think, even though they had black belt karate. Think about that when you learn to master your mind and using 100% of your brain with deja vu. These kids, as you can see on YouTube, by 12 years old, they can predict the next car coming around the corner and what colour it is, so they don't get run over. Because they can feel it coming around the corner. You can't see it, but you can feel it with the sixth sense. So they can feel the car coming around the corner, what colour it is, so they can't get rammed by it. It's a warning mechanism. Their natural sacred secretion with their body cells, okay, where they can feel it with codependent feelings through the atmosphere. And that's a God-given gift you got. And these children at 12 years old can use their abilities with their sixth sense when they're brought up correctly. And when a person rings in the phone, they can predict who it is on the other end, and they can tell you what they're wearing with remote viewing. At 12 years old, We put them in school to be mentally institutionalized with IQ, and now the whole world thinks they're intelligent with IQ. In their mind, with artificial intelligence, with evolution mutation. So they mutate non-stop into this ability with IQ and depend on grammar and become very literal. And that's why churches are failing so bad with Christians, pastors and priests, because they've become literal and mental and psychological and argue, debate and divide and conquer, debate and divide with different opinions. There's 36 different types of Christianity now because Westerners always conquer, debate and divide and always think they're better than everyone else. And they conquer, debate and divide with every single thing they possibly can. They have 12,000 types of religions in Western whites in their Western civilization. 12,000 different types. They can't even overset languages because they were brought up by Noah and his family, the naked drunks, the milestone and Nimrod, that smashed them into the nation with confusion and frustration, with different languages and different cults, and different New Age cults, always manipulating the truth, always twist the family truth to suit themselves and live in their own comfort zone. Like they think they're special, but they're not. They're artificial intelligence. And most people don't have an aura in their body cells. 98.7% is anti-clockwise and live in denial, a species in denial declared 2003. Now 98.7% lives in denial in a delusional state, no matter what comes out of their mouth. They can say what they like, they don't have a sixth sense. They don't have spirituality. They only have mentality and grammar and literal behavior. And that's what they depend on, mentality. In their consciousnness, a mental event, a mental process, an illusion, imagination, and they're riddled with gene defects and mental disorders going through the roof, okay, because their body cells are corruption illusion in the daytime and can only be at 3.5 hours a night. So they all are the official human beings worldwide, going into the zombie apocalypse because they don't have feelings, only 5% of their feelings, 1 to 5%. They cannot feel. So therefore, they're not loving, compassionate creatures. They're only personalities. And as you can see in the zombie apocalypse, with the placebo effect across the planet in 220, how much they conquer, debate and divide with their own family, loves and friends, and they have no codependent relationships whatsoever, and no faith in anybody in real life, and no soulmates. And they have no instinctive behavior to think instinctively outside the mind, to respond 7 times faster and master their mind, use 100% of their brain. You see that in the movie Limitless. Okay, he takes a drug, manna. Okay, he conducts his body cells. He comes out of his psychedelic mind and he gets a massive clarification with a vortex of information with a universal language, as you can see, coming through the atmosphere. And the atmosphere EMP pulse that's spreading like a virus is collapsing nature and fauna and sending animals around circles over the earth, because that's a placebo effect that over 7.5 million people are driving. Over 7.5 billion people are driving a delusional placebo effect into themselves. Anti-clockwise in biology, inner, which means they're into themselves. Anti-clockwise, they're inverted into themselves. Okay, they cannot use their genetic process with genetic memory and their genetic tools. It's in dormancy. Their 24th chromosome's in dormancy. 85 to 93% of their brain is in dormancy, with the highest IQ people in the world that thinks they know what they're doing, right? That's atheism. Well, they're anti-clockwise and they can only use 15% of the brain when we can use 100%. So they're totally anti-clockwise. They're totally deformed. Atheism is a deformity. It's people trapped inside their mind and can't use their sixth sense barely at all, and don't even have any faith in it, in their own biological genes, to use their own natural selection of life and their natural genetic motor skills. And that's why the whole world's going into extinction. And they can say what they like, but grammar and IQ behavior and the way they're programmed in the mind will not help them, because they can't use their sixth sense. And that's their spirituality. Whether they like it or not, it's reality. And they're not living in it. They're only living in the personality. And whatever the programs they believe in, and they're anti-clockwise, they cannot think forward. Otherwise, they'd have deja vu to predict the future and predict what's going to happen with remote viewing. And they haven't got it. Only if they take drugs through special programs, but they can't do it organically and naturally. They can only do it with drugs and radio waves and frequencies and sounds they're trying to hack into the World Wide Web with a conscious singularity. But it ain't going to work, because it's 5 sensitive with negative fields. And AI it's artificial intelligence. It hasn't got moral guilt and shame. hasn't got loyalty, honor, respect, moral, morals, inspiration, encouragement. And most atheists are not even atheists, but they don't even know that. They're actually not. I've seen atheists change many times. They don't even know what spirituality is. Spirituality is real love. Loyalty, honor, respect, moral, morals, inspiration, encouragement is a codependent feeling. It's an EMP pulse. And you have EMP pulses that go outwards only with those tools. A relationship, nothing else. You don't need nothing else because everything else comes automatically out of the blue with a universal language. That's far more wise and far more intelligent. Okay? You can call it an alien intelligence because it is. It's an outside influence that works in your favor. But it has to be done through the sixth sense. In the most positive fields, with 27 biofields, your biosphere. If you live in your five senses, it's negative fields. And that's how we call it nefarious, because it's anti-clockwise in your body and your DNA. You're living in a delusional state, and you don't believe in it. You live in denial, declared worldwide. Most people will not get through this because they're trapped so deep in their mind that their care factor's gone, and that's reality. Okay? You have to realize that. They don't know what love is anymore. They think they do, but they don't. They only think about it. They don't know how to feel it. And when they can't feel it, they lost their sixth sense. This is why the zombie apocalypse with what you see as Hawaiian syndromes worldwide, remember these things were happening before COVID and before the vaccination. This is what you need to observe about things. All these things was escalating before COVID came along and before vaccinations. But in 220, the fear factor became a zombie apocalypse called acclimatization that spread like a virus. There was so much fear driven in 220, it created a placebo effect like something demonic was coming across the planet, and many platforms on mainstream media even said that. You know, they said that on CN News and Channel 7, the two biggest news channels in America and Australia. They both said it's like something demonic came across the planet. And you saw how people behave, far left, far right. Vaccinations are deadly and dangerous. If you don't take the vaccination, you're deadly and dangerous. Vaccinations are deadly and dangerous. If you don't take it, it's deadly and dangerous. You see the mentality on both sides of the fence? Driving the placebo effect. Imagine in 2009, we got 12,000 people, right, to meditate with the quantum mechanic of a relationship. They spread a virus around the planet that reduced 45 to 65% of murder rates, violence, and DNA defects, and fauna started to plenish. Think about this for a moment, because you don't. 12,000 people that knew how to meditate with a powerful sixth sense spread a virus around the planet that restored the planet that much over the next 12 months with that kind of virus. We can replenish nature to 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutrition value. Proven that we have that kind of power to replenish nature. And that's been proven. We can fix the whole planet with the sixth sense. But we're going into sixth mass extinction. Because people don't care, they're living in their five senses in the biggest psychological warfare in human history against their own spirit. And they're not spiritual, they're mentality. Nearly every truth fighter across the platform, across the world, is living in their mind and over-exaggerate the truth and are not spiritual. They only think they are, but they're not. They're sitting in a five-sense world all day. They're sitting on a screen 8 hours a day average. That's their five senses. They're trapped so deep with possessions and addictions and bad habits that they make unnatural selection all non-stop. And artificial intelligence, they go into exaggeration. It's the biggest communication breakdown in human history. And they're not listening. You can't get through their thick skull. They're in denial. They're possessed by an outside influence that controls their reality. That's only a personality. And it'll tell them whatever they want to believe in Christ consciousness and sound heavily. And they're not getting it. They're just not getting it. They live so deep in their mind, in a comfort zone, that they've never stuck their head through the light in the tunnel and don't even understand what it's all about. They have no idea. The mind doesn't know. Christ knew he was right. And I'm right. I'm the most righteous human being on earth with the most authentic details with the sixth sense. I'm the biggest mastermind in the world with the sixth sense. So I think I should know a lot more than you do. I'm the most oppressed human being on earth, and we all are, the ones that can use our sixth sense. We're the most oppressed across the planet by the rest of the world. That's how mentally insane they are. And that goes for every truther and every person in the Great Awakening. They're the same. They reject us the most. Idiots. Fools. On social media platform worldwide. Trapped so deep into themselves, they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know. They live in denial. They live in their own comfort zone. No matter what they say, no matter what comes out of their mouth, they cannot use their sixth sense. Mental telepathy, ESP, remote urine, telekinesis, levitation, spoon mini clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu. They can't use their sixth sense. They haven't got dimensional thinking. They only got visions and dreams and use their sixth sense in their imagination running wild. 1 to 5%. That's it. 1 to 5% in their visions and dreams. In their visions and dreams. In their imagination running wild. In their imagination running wild. And they don't believe in it. They can't think outside the mind with deja vu in broad daylight. I can. Right now. Boom. Like that. Okay? Through an EMP pulse. Through a codependent relationship. And when you have it, you have it. When you don't, you don't. It's an EMP pulse. It is an intuitive, codependent power. Codependently. Codependent means it's a two-way street. You cannot feed one wolf and the other at the same time. It's a known fact. You cannot feed two wolves at the same time. And that's what the whole world's trying to do, but they can't. They never could. They have to cross over. And they don't understand the process at all. You cannot live inside your mind with mentality and in your spirituality at the same time. It's impossible. That's why Shilla mastermind monks and Buddhists have to get off the grid. That's why people who are genuinely gone through the rebirth, crossover, they get away from every single church and every single pastor and priest and every Christian they can. Because they have to. It's a known fact. When you cross over, you cannot go back to church. It's a known fact. You cannot go back to a church when you cross over. A genuine person has gone through the genuine rebirth, reborn, his personality dies. Literally. He becomes a primordial being. In his celestial primordial state, he crosses over into a spiritual, celestial primordial being. Then he controls this vessel from the outside in instead of the inside out, because that's the crossover. That's the great resurrection. That's the salvation plan. You must be in your primordial state. You must be in your spirituality, which is your celestial primordial being that controls your vessel and controls your mind. Then you become the mastermind of your own mind and your own vessel with a totally different influence on your reality you know nothing about. Look at the movie Limits. It's sevenfold wisdom laws. It's an outside influence. You see the movie Matrix documentary? Keanu Reeves is sitting in the light of the inner tunnel. He's got his head stuck outside the cave, and he controls this vessel from the outside in and beats resurrection. The movie represents resurrection. The movie represents the resurrection of the sixth sense. That's why it's made in 99 when you declared post-human stage and you live in denial. You've been post-human since 1960. Okay? You've never been able to use your 24th chromosome or any of your genetic memory since 1960. And then you all live in denial about it. You haven't got your sixth sense, for God's sake. And it's the only thing that's going to save you. And if you don't restore it and cross over, you'll go in the sixth mass extinction, stripped from the sixth sense for the sixth time, and you haven't got a hope in hell. Your mind will not get you out of this, or any of your grammar, or any of your mental beliefs. Your church won't fix it. Your Christians won't fix it. Your pastors won't fix it. And there's no new age or no artificial intelligence or every mutation or any grammar is going to get you out of this. Because it's not what you think. It's your spirituality. And your mentality is the problem. Your own mentality. That's why you're suffering and live in denial at the same time, because you're an idiot. Your body cells are corrupt corrosion in the daytime and can't repair only at night time. And you haven't got your sixth sense. And that's your spirituality. And if you're not in it, you're not going to win it. It's that simple. People live in denial worldwide and their aura. Go and get a blood test, you fucking moron. Go and get your DNA study done. And look at your fucking aura. We've shown you with our followers here and the testimonies. Look at Tom. He had Lyme's disease. Look at the body cells he shows you on the photos. We cured it. We cured Lyme disease, a non-curable disease, by changing the Vrel in voltage reliability, in the aura, in the sixth sense. That's all it takes to fix everything. But when people drive their truth as worldwide on social media platform, vaccinations are deadly and dangerous, and they're trying to kill us all, and all the food preservatives and God knows what else. Your body's resilience. It's what you select, and it's your own natural selection. Because you're an idiot, you blame everyone else for what you're doing, because you can't think straight. You can't select correctly, because you're artificial to the shithouse. And then you're too busy blaming everyone else for what you're doing, because you won't take a damn good look at yourself and why you are the way you are. Because you don't. You just look at everyone else and don't look at yourself. Take a damn good look at yourself. Revise your perception about every single thing you come to learn and every single thing you do. You might learn something about yourself. How dumb you are in real life and not live in denial about it. You can only use 7% of your brain. You can't use 100%. So don't think for 1 minute that you're qualified to judge me, because you're an idiot. And you destroy yourself without realizing it. All you keep doing is avoiding this and destroying yourself when you avoid this. The most powerful confirmation on earth, declared worldwide, and you're not living in it. So ask yourself why the whole world avoids the facts. When you look at buying syndromes worldwide since 220, what do you see worldwide? I'll tell you what you see and you're hearing worldwide. People are losing their 5 senses now as well. Right? Taste and smell. And you know, if you look at this deep, you'll see buying syndromes is people lying in hospital all over the world, and it started way before 220. The first Hawaiian syndrome was recorded back in the 40s. We knew it was a major concern in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and became a global concern by 1999. Mental disorders and defects going through the roof from 2% to 98%. Right? Everyone lives in denial about it. Every human being on earth lives in denial. Don't care. And don't care what they're doing to their children with hereditary genes. In denial. Now all their kids are suffering to the shithouse because of our parents living in denial. And you were told your parents are crazy in 99 because they are crazy. They are that crazy that now we have 77% of children born with chronic diseases because they're nuts. They're crazy and they're artificial humans and they live in denial. And now they've done this to our kids. 77% of their children is suffering because of these idiots, because of these morons that don't care about nothing but themselves. That's how dumb the world is, with unnatural selection and artificial intelligence, that they do that to their kids. And they push them in school to be mentally institutionalized so they can't use their sixth sense, so they die prematurely. So they all die prematurely, getting younger and younger, declared worldwide. Younger and younger and younger. Generation X, on average, will live to be about 60 if they're lucky. Generation Z, 40. The new generation, 2025. They have no sixth sense. They have no sixth sense. They have no biological genes and natural secretion. They have no biological system to use their natural organic molecules with their 130 nucleosome molecules, genetic repair kit. These kids have no sixth sense and will die by 2025. and kids will have to slave, parents will have to slave for them. As Robert Kennedy said, they will have to wipe their ass and look after them permanently at home. So many parents are going to be trapped at home looking after their kids. That's already happening worldwide. That's already happening worldwide. You know, kids in the last 4 years has gone up 38% in suicide rates, 27% in violence, and 42% on drugs with stress-related problems. 42% increase in a couple of years, accelerating worldwide. Because everyone lives in denial and only cares about themselves and drives the placebo effect of a virus that's an EMP pulse collapsing the whole world, and that's why the magnetic fields are changing, and that's why their body and their DNA is getting worse, not better. It's spreading like a virus, affecting every human being on earth, and even the toughest people like the elect. The Bible says everybody will be in a delusional state, and even the elect will find it very difficult to hang on. And I am the elect, the most powerful on earth, and believe me, I'm feeling how powerful it is to hang on. And when it comes to us, with the most powerful sixth sense in the world, we're feeling it 10 times more powerful than what you are, because you haven't got feelings anymore. You can't feel the truth anymore. You only come to a conclusion with reason in your mind, and you avoid the most powerful confirmation on earth. Your sixth sense don't work, and it means you cannot feel the truth. Only those that think instinctively will tune out of program, as they say in the Matrix. The Bible says you have a biofield weapon so powerful that no weapon from against you can prosper. And it's an aura. It's a shining armor. And trust me, we're the only ones that know this, because we have the most powerful divine power to command nature. As a known fact, on the biggest, most powerful documents in the world, and we get avoided the most. You know why? Because they don't want you to be saved. The Antichrist, nefarious, controls everybody in the world, and everyone's a liar and a delusional behavior and spread disinformation because they live in it. They live in propaganda and disinformation in their own placebo effect, driving, right, the extinction rebellion that we try to stop, driving the extinction while we rebel it. They are driving the extinction with an EMP impulse into themselves, in their self-centered ego, into their self-envy, self-pride. And they live in themselves, spreading the placebo effect anti-clockwise. No matter what they say, they're just actors and mouthpieces that has no real care factor. Because if they had a care factor, they would stop the screens and they would stop this behavior, and they start to create real love and real compassion and real relationships. And they can't. They can only sit on the screen. They can't create genuine relationships. They can't create the intuitive, codependent power and soulmate relationship because they don't have a soul. They only have a mind. And they don't want their soul back. They just want to live in their mind in denial. They don't care. They don't know what care and love is. They don't even know how to keep a relationship together anymore. They only pretend they do. But they're too busy making a name for themselves and being argumentative, conquer, debate, and divide, and wants to be a Hollywood actor. And all they want to do is show off in front of their family. I'm better than you are. Oh, I'm right. Yeah, you're right, all right. You're the worst one of them all. The ones that live in your own truth. The ones that come to your own conclusion with reasoning, living in a comfort zone. You're the ones driving the extinction with your self-centered ego and your competitive behavior and your judgmental behavior. You are the one sitting in a comfort zone in front of a screen by yourself on a couch, thinking you're the one, and you're not. You won't restore your sixth sense. People on the streets, in the biggest mental health research conducted, people in jail, 84% of people coming to jail is the most loving, compassionate people with their sixth sense. And the same with the indigenous people. They live in environments, right, in community environments. The indigenous people, the Shula Mastermind, the monks and the Buddhists, and village people, right, third world countries, and people in the streets and people in prison. 84% of those people are the most loving people, right, that are spiritual. Recorded with DNA studies done. In the biggest research ever done in global history, they found our DNA in prison. You were told in the Bible, we will come from the cave of prison with the truth of the masses, with fire coming out of mouth from raggedy clothes, right, with shining armor. In raggedy clothes with shining armor, like a thief in the night. And that's who we are. We are the Extinction Rebellion in our sixth sense. And the whole world on social media platform goes against us. And you have to realize that God doesn't trust any one of these species in their five senses. And sitting on a screen, when they make a name for themselves and self-proclaimed prophets, they are the artificial humans, make a name for themselves with their own opinions. And the only thing they care about is their opinions, spreading like a virus. They're not humble spiritual human beings living in their primordial state. Only 1.3% of the population is spiritual with their aura clockwise in their DNA, their sixth sense. They're in their sixth sense 24 hours a day. They can master their mind with their natural power and no gene defects and no mental disorders, and they don't fucking live in their mind. Because your mind is driving the pursuit of big that's collapsing fauna and nature and spinning the planet, right, and dropping the shaman. It's you. 7.5 million of you idiots out there sitting on a screen all day. It's you. You're not the humble spiritual people here. The indigenous people are. Okay? They don't have mental disorders and defects. You do. And you lie to yourself. But they're the ones without mental disorders and defects. Not you. You're the liars. You're deceivers. And all your cops, politicians and pastors and preachers and all your social media platform and all your professors and scientists everywhere around the world is artificial liars. Living in their own truth, every one of them. Every single Westerner. It's the ones with defective genes and mental disorders going through the roof with stress and anxiety in their body cells in corruption, corrosion in the daytime. And they cannot think instinctively. They cannot think outside the mind. They're trapped in their mind with mentality, in their consciousness. It's a known fact they nominate themselves with that grammar with EMP pulse. And that's the EMP they're in. Artificial EMPs. They're not in their tune to codependent power. They don't have codependent relationships. They don't have soulmates at all because they're not spiritual people. They're not in their sixth sense. And if they don't cross over the way we teach them, they'll never make it. The book Freedom by Jeremy gives out by 16,000 top scholars of the world, and we're not breathing the Holy Breath of Life. Holy Book of Life and Holy Breath of Life is the only thing that'll cross you over. The only tools on earth being avoided by 99% of Westerners. Yet 45,000 teachers and 16,000 top scholars and Nobel Prize winners is on the same page with natural selection, with We're Not Breathing and the book Freedom. The Holy Grail Life and the Holy Breath of Life. A 40-day fast stops sound natural selection and crosses you over. We teach it every day. Look at our platforms, look at our followers. They restore their sixth sense and their aura in their body cells. They cross over. They go for a 40-day fast and they cross over into their spirituality where their aura goes clockwise for a transformation. The world's biggest transformation movement. Jeremy gives us the world transformation movement. Go look at his videos. Go look on YouTube, the Great Transformation. 95% of people in the world is beyond the point of return. Trapped inside their mind in a delusional state with denial and are beyond the point of return. They won't go back in their spirituality because they live in denial in a comfort zone. They live in their own truth, manifest their own truth, right? And come to their own conclusion with reasoning. And that's nefarious because it's anti-clockwise. It's 5 senses negative fields, and that's what they live in 95 to 99% of the time. Every single Westerner lives in a personality with amnesia, trapped in a reincarnation trap. And if they don't go through the rabbit hole and stick their head through the light in a tunnel outside the cave, they'll never cross over. They'll be trapped with amnesia, and they're going to wish they had to listen because they're going into extinction, and they can't run away from this. The sixth mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the sixth time, is accelerating, and it's going to accelerate by 227 so fast you wouldn't know it hit you. But you're going to watch it, and if you don't cross over, you're going with it. Trust me, they know. The top scholars worldwide know. They're going underground nuclear bunkers. They're putting nuclear warnings up worldwide by NATO and to have food ready for 3 days, like the Bible warned you about. As Christ said at 24 when he woke up from amnesia, I'm son of David, son of Abraham, and it'll be like the days of Noah and the days of Lot. Think about the days of Lot. Orbs of light came down from heaven to earth, like Jacob's star last year when in supernova, 144,000 orbs of light came down, heaven and earth, stars within the stars. They pulverized the cities. That's what happened when you save him. They pulverized every city and only 5 people saved. And I promise you, they know, they saw it in the looking glass, and we know the future. Kim Clement predicted 227 and 213. I wrote my book in 2004. Okay, everybody knows. The Vatican knows. They saw it in the looking glass. They built underground military bunkers, nuclear bunkers. That's why Trump, Biden, and all these elite are going underground with the militaries. 227, the Shone shuts down. Go look yourself. Look at the events happening in 227. The Vatican knows. It's on the new climate clock, 7-year countdown. Go look at a 2-minute video. 220, 227, 7-year lay in the Bible. And it's right here now. And the clock is played to the 27th September. Exactly 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John. 27 September, 27. And it's not a fucking joke. That's the inflection point of no return. You don't cross over by then, you'll never be saved. If you don't cross over back in your spirituality by that date, you will not be saved. You'll go into the sixth mass extinction, stripped from the sixth sense for this time, in the zombie apocalypse, in the body snatching virus, because you gave consent. And there's no way out of this. You have to be in your sixth sense. You have to be in your spirituality to get through this. They know that. They're telling you in the movies. They're telling you right in front of your face. They're telling you in so many movies right in front of your face. But you can't see it in metaphor. You're controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety. And it's got you by the balls. And if you're trapped in stress, fear, and anxiety, you'll go in the extinction because you've got no faith. And you haven't got the relationship. Without the relationship, if you don't go back in your primal state, back in your innocence as a child, and get out of your character and your personality and mentality, then you haven't got open hell. You got to be in your primal state. You got to be innocent. You got to go back in your primal state to be selflessness. Back in your primordial state. Back in your celestial primordial state. And believe me, not too many people's going to make this. They're not. Because you can't get through their thick skull. And they're beyond the point of return. And you have to be aware of that. You have to get out of your personality. You have to get out of your mentality because it controls you and limits you so much you have no idea. You can only use 5% of your aura. You can use 5% of your spirituality. You got to restore it. You got to cross over. Get out of your mentality and get out of your personality because you're possessed by it. And that's what Christ knew in 40 days. And he woke up from amnesia and reincarnation trap and discovered who he was with genetic memory, a genetic process. And when you unlock that, you'll never get deceived again. When you cross over and go for a transformation, you're free. You stick your head at the cave. You go for Babylon. You take the red pill and you can't go back. And you'll never go back. Not in your mind, ever again. You'll be free with a liberation that's beyond the mind. And you don't know until you go through this. You haven't got a clue. Take the red pill and you won't go back. You can't go back. Stay on the blue pill, you'll never know. Not until you go through that infliction point. And it's one hell of a powerful infliction when you go through it. And you'll know. You'll know if you go through it or if you don't. Trust me. It is one hell of an infliction point. When you go through the Babylon, you stick your head at the cave, it's a whole new beginning. You go right back into childhood and you see yourself for the first time and you see what you never saw. You understand what you never could. And you have an outside influence that comes from out of the blue, like the light bulb idea, the picture that tells you 1,000 words that cannot lie to you. Everything else can. Think about that.